Reforestation is one of the most innovative companies when it comes to sustainable forestry, and it's changing the landscape as we know it. To talk more about exactly how it's going about doing this is the visionary leader who is spearheading some groundbreaking initiatives, Grant Canary. Welcome to the New York Stock Exchange, Grant.
Thank you.
Tell me exactly how Mast Reforestation is really a pioneer when it comes to sustainable forestry.
I think as people have noticed with the smoke in the air, both on the West Coast, the East Coast, the amount of wildfire that we've seen over the last decade, the increase in size and severity is unprecedented. So there's never been a greater need for what we do, which is making reforestation scalable. And that's really where we're focused as a company. I think what's less obvious to folks is that forests are not naturally regenerating in the same way that they used to. It used to be 90% probability or more that forest burns, forest regrows. We're now seeing that drop to 40, 70%, depending upon the tree species, the ecosystem, and that's a huge problem.
Mast Reforestation is doing a lot of important work when it comes to its quest on replanting forests that were impacted by the wildfires. What would you say people need to know when it comes to planting forests that will last a lifetime?
We're restoring true forests, and I think that's a really important distinction as people are reading about all of the wildfires and what's causing them. So what that means is much lower density. We're talking 150 to 200 trees per acre in the Northwest versus what you might see with a tree farm at 300 to 400 trees per acre, or other stands at 700 to 1,000 even. And that density is fuel for the high intensity and high severity fires. So that's a really big distinction. We're also utilizing a mix of species, so a polyculture. And then we're utilizing seed from as close to the wildfire as possible because it's adapted to the site. So it's going to be more in sync with when freezing occurs, the elevation, so on and so forth. And so all of those pieces create resilient forests. Fire is part of the natural ecology of the site, so they're able to withstand fire in the future. And it wouldn't be possible without the carbon removal credits. It's thousands of acres cost millions of dollars. So that's a really huge distinction there.
We're here at the New York Stock Exchange, the epicenter of the global financial markets. It is Climate Week here in New York City. You know, obviously climate change is at the forefront of these discussions. Tell me about some of the innovative solutions that Mast Reforestation is efforting and how it's impacting the financial markets.
Yeah, well, we've got a really unique carbon removal credit. There's 170 different types of carbon credit methodologies. So when I hear people responding to media headlines around like offsets as one monolithic thing, like there's 170 types. And so what we see is that where we sit is there's previously been avoided deforestation, avoided emissions. We sit in a class of removals. We sit with biochar, with ocean-based, with mineralization, with direct air carbon capture, pulling carbon out of the atmosphere. And that's at a much higher price point than just avoiding emitting an emission or protecting the rainforest. And so that's really, I think, where there's a big call for people to see more action, more capital deployed against that to remove what we've already emitted. And that creates a price point that actually then says, all right, if we want to justify the return on projects, this is the cost of emitting, and it's much higher than previously anticipated. And that starts to then greenlight a lot of those projects in decarbonization and electrification, which is really exciting.